Hey everyone, it's Libby from Meister Tarot. I'd like to acknowledge the Worimi First Nations people. It's WORIMI, and welcome to you, your guides, my guides in the universal energies. Oh boy, I had to chuckle on that last video about the parade and Levitt. Apparently, parade is a censored word in a title now. Whatever. So I do apologise that some of my titles are very cryptic, but that's basically I'll put a title up. I'll try and get it published as over 18s, which I always put over 18s, and it'll stop me from publishing a video. So I then try a different title for it, and it might go through or it might not. Yeah, the word parade, not allowed in a title at the moment. Okay, whatever. What I want to have a look at in this particular reading is I want to have a look, well, a little bit of a couple of new snippets. Apparently, Felon 45 is appreciating being called the Taco Twerp. Well, I call him Twerp, but they use his actual surname, as in Twerp always chickening out. This is going around Wall Street at the moment in regards to the tariffs. And speaking of the tariffs, a three-panel federal judges has basically told the twerp where he can take his tariffs and put them, and they weren't something very comfortable for him. So just be aware there's going to be a lot of flooding the zone. This is a term coined by Bannon, and it basically means that so much information comes out that particular newsworthy items don't actually make the headlines because it's just like, where on earth do I look? So be aware, but don't immerse yourself into all the, oh gosh, there's going to be accusations, there's going to be attacks, there's going to be irrelevant information, there's going to be an awful lot that comes out. Now, I was listening to Denise Knight this morning, and she said in her reading this morning that apparently 96% of the court cases that are happening, Felon has lost. So just be aware of that as well. He's not being able to actually achieve what his minders want him to achieve. Those behind the curtain, it's not going to plan. I'm just going to put it out there. It is not going to plan because we're not in the 1930s anymore, and we're not behind the Iron Curtain where all information is controlled. So just be aware of that. Okay, what I want to have a look at in this particular reading is I'm going to have a look at Kirsty Noem. I'm going to use the Smith-Waite Tarot deck. This is the one I was using, I think, that got me pinged for gratuitous nudity. Must have had the lovers and the devil card both out in the same reading there. So out of my miffiness, I have used a permanent marker just to block out the bits. I'm not going to go through and shade them out frame by frame. I'm not going to draw clothing on them. I'm making a statement where I've gone, right, you can't deal with it, here it is. And I'm not talking about you guys, I'm talking about the YouTube censors. But what I want to have a look at, Noem, right, Kirsty Noem, apparently a couple of days ago, if I go to my news over here, repeatedly, this is news from 2 days ago, he was in, I believe, Israel, reportedly bragged about having a conversation with the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, but refused to divulge what they discussed. So she's going, oh, we've had this conversation, blah, 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 but not discussing anything. Now, interestingly enough, I've actually got the photo full of Kirsty Noem. These people, these women, and I'm talking about Carolyn Levitt, Kirsty Noem, Pam Bondi, Gabbard, who's the other one? Hegseth, these women, Hegseth, they're starting to look very haggard and gaunt. It's coming out through their plastic surgery and Botox. The stress that they're under, I'd say they're probably drinking a lot or doing something, but the stress of them having to keep the facade up is really, really starting to show on these people. But that's just me being a little bit petty. But anyhow, so during a Monday interview on Fox News, Noem said she'd stopped at the Western Wall before a meeting with Netanyahu. Around 10 o'clock last night, she had the meeting, had a conversation about the TWIP's negotiations with Iran, etc., etc. She said, I've known the Prime Minister, Netanyahu, for many years. So she's obviously known him for a long time prior to her getting this position of Homeland Security. And if you cast your mind back to last year, I think it was, she was in Israel again last year signing the side of a missile that was being sent into Gaza. So, yeah, she's been in with Netanyahu for a long time. It's just so all incestuous, but basically, the Prime Minister's team had a conversation, and I don't want to go into the private conversation. She's claiming it would hinted at it was in regards to Gaza and Iran, but that it would breach Homeland Security if she actually said anything. Okay, I want to have a look at this. So remember, she signed the side of a missile from Kirsty with Love or whatever it said that was being sent to um, bomb innocent women and children in Gaza. She's just a vile piece of work. I want to have a look what went on in this conversation. She's known him for many years, and we know that they are all incestuous in their evil. And if you're a supporter of these people, just don't even bother commenting. See you later. Don't bother having a go at me. All that happens is I just basically give you the middle finger and then block you from the channel. No point. But let's have a look. What was the conversation? What was the conversation that Noem had with Netanyahu using my Smith-Waite tarot? What was in that conversation that is not being disclosed? Come on down, let's have a look. Ooh, end of days is what I'm being told. End of days. The final annihilation, the final flattening, the final genocide. Now, Netanyahu has supposedly let in some aid trucks, but they're basically 1% of what actually needs to go in, but that's part of the propaganda. Okay, I'm going to say entertainment only, entertainment only, entertainment only, entertainment only. That's just a propaganda move. See, look what I'm doing. Aren't they ungrateful? There was an announcement, I believe, came out this morning that claiming that had taken out a Hamas leader. I imagine there was probably a couple of hundred innocent women and children in front of them, but yeah, I'm going to say that the conversation was about the final solution. I'm just going to say the final solution is what I'm getting there. Oh, ugh. The challenge, the Ten of Cups, unity, support for people of Gaza, support for diversity, support for other cultures that bring richness. That's the challenge for this final solution. And the women and children. And the emotional overwhelming of it all. There's an ending card. So what was the conversation about? Yeah, pretty much discarding the Palestinians to make money, to expand their wealth, tossing out. In the past, yeah, she is made a lot of money. She has made a lot of money over the years. She's in her gilded cage. She's not listening to public opinion. For her, it's all about feathering her own nest. And I'm going to say this is about final solution. Final solution. Crowning the reading. That's what the conversation was about. How do we end this and get rid of those pesky people? I did ask. Low integrity, poor choices, the seduction of riches and power, and just delusional. It's all about money. What's my cut internally? Yeah, abuse of power, steal. How do we bring an end to this conflict so that we can make money out of it? But how do we force these people from their land? How do we make them leave? I'm just going to say that's what the conversation was about. Hopes and fears, the circles of support, the emotional support, Felon 45, Netanyahu. This could also be, I'm not getting Gabbard in this group though. Noem, Bondi, and I'm not getting Gabbard. Who's the third? I'm not feeling Susie Wiles either. The third could be somebody in Israel. Using, drunk deeply from the cup, supporting. The chariot military, fighting, chaos of the burden, plots happening, betrayal, treason. But I think information about it may be coming out. This gift from the past could be presenting a new opportunity, promise from the past, but the wheel is going to turn on them. The wheel, the Ace of Wands, and then desperately trying to hold on to their positions. Yeah, I am just going to say the conversation was about how do we end this with a final solution. I just feel really disgusted, unclean, dirty. And yeah, I'm going to say that's what the conversation was about. How do we get rid of these people? How do we make them leave? How do we... I don't think it's going to work for them though. Their challenge is the international support for the Palestinians, about two-state solution, about celebrating their culture and their right to live peacefully. Yick. Okay, you wanted a short one. Here it is. Yeah, it was just yick. Okay, catch you later.